For viewers across Africa and the rest of the world, this is NC Continental Prime. I'm Kofi Bartels. You're welcome. We begin the news in West Africa, where 6 students, 3 teachers, and a bus driver have been kidnapped by unknown gunmen in Ekiti State in the southern part of the country. In a statement posted online, the state government said the victims were attacked in the town of Emure while returning from a road trip on Monday night. The state governor, Abiodun Oyebanji, says the authorities are determined to, in his words, get to the children and their teachers rescued. Meanwhile, residents are being urged to remain calm and share any information that can help with the search and rescue efforts. It is not yet clear who is responsible for the incident or whether they have demanded a ransom. Well, kidnapping for ransom has worsened in Nigeria in recent years, with armed gangs targeting road travelers, students, as well as residents in rural and urban areas across the country. Meanwhile, the Ekiti State Governor, Abiodun Oyebanji, has condemned the heart-wrenching attack that claimed the lives of 2 revered traditional rulers in Oke-Ako area of Ikole local government area. The victims identified as Oba David Ogunsakin and Oba Olatunde Olusola were brutally gunned down by suspected kidnappers while returning from a meeting in Irele-Ekiti on Monday. In his response, the governor has issued a directive to the state security agencies to leave no stone unturned in apprehending the perpetrators of the crime. He also expressed his condolences to the affected communities and implored residents to remain calm while refraining from taking matters in their hands. He underscored the government's commitment to ensuring that the culprits face the full wrath of the law. Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu on Tuesday condemned the killing of 2 traditional rulers in Ekiti State, whom we just talked about, the Onimojo of Imojo-Ekiti, Olatunde Olusola, and the Eleshun of Eshun-Ekiti, David Ogunsola. The traditional rulers were said to be returning from a security meeting in Irele-Ekiti when the government struck at a community in Ikole local government area of that state. This took place on Monday. Well, the president, who mourned the traditional rulers, condoled with their families and the state governor, Abiodun Oyebanji, and the people of the state on what he called a deeply agonizing development. The president also ordered the immediate rescue of pupils and teachers kidnapped around Ekiti area of the state. He assured the Nigerians that the nation's security architecture was being robustly fortified for better and expected outcomes, as the security of life and property remained the responsibility of his government. To discuss this further, I'm joined tonight by the National Vice President Committee for the Defense of Human Rights, and of course, he joins us to answer questions regarding this. Thank you very much for your time, sir.
Yeah, good evening, and good evening, viewers from all over the places.
Thank you very much for joining us. The killing of the traditional rulers in Ekiti State by kidnappers is seen as sort of a desecration of the land. What must be done to tackle these incidents of kidnappings, around the country?
Honestly, I firstly want to sympathize with the people of Ekiti State and the government as well for such heinous crime against humanity committed by men of the other world. However, having said this, I think it is high time for us to double up effort in rejigging the security architecture of the state. It is not a new happening. It's not just the incidents we are facing presently. They are not new to us, and I feel that a lack of sustainability in terms of securing the rights of the people, their right to security, their right to life, lack of sustainability in terms of policy might have been responsible for the advantage these criminal elements have taken to invade the society. I could recall during the first term of some of the southwest governors, and at the verge of the incessant attack on the people and their means of livelihood, some governors took their step, a very, very bold step, to say we must stop these heinous crimes. We can't wait for the federal government to come and solve all this problem for us. And that was how they came together to bet what we have today, as is known as Amotekun. I feel it is high time government doubles effort in recruiting where necessary and empowering the Amotekun and other local security outfits to complement the efforts of the statutory security outfits we have in the country. Because it is all about grassroots. Whatever crime that is being perpetrated, so we need grassroots buy into this. And one of the ways we can get their buy-in is to have them see the business of security as a collective, as a collective responsibility. Having more recruitment, Amotekun, and empowering other security outfits, local security outfits, including the vigilantes at the level of the local government and across the communities, will go a long way in checkmating the excesses of these criminal elements who are only out the country and to trade the right to life of the people. So I feel the governor in the southern states of this country need to double up efforts. We need to provide more for the security agencies. We need not to toy with the security of lives and property of the people. It has the recent happening is very, very unfortunate, and in an unusual manner, the monarchs were murdered, and we have seen the pupils and the teachers were being kidnapped, which is actually posing threat to our collectivity. So I feel that the government must double up effort, and the National Assembly also, where they need to support the state in actualizing this, in ensuring the safety of the citizens. It is not time to trade blame. It's not time to discourage the establishment of genuine security outfits. It is even time to give more recognition to these local outfits, because we can't leave the security of lives and property to the hands of the few, which we definitely know that from they don't have the statistics to cover all the country. So we need more commitment to sustainable security. Until and only when this is done, that is the only time we can actually say we want to go and sleep with our two eyes closed. And for the president as well, I feel that the economic situation in the country must, as a matter of urgency, be addressed. There can't be any reason for anyone to justify any act of killing or such a gruesome murder. But I feel it is necessary for the presidency to provide adequate support to states for the security of the citizens.
Wow, Yinka Folarin, you've covered all the areas for discussion tonight, and you've talked about Amotekun, you've talked about state security, you've talked about security of educational institutions. I want to thank you so very kindly for joining us tonight.
You're welcome.
Thank you so very kindly. That's Yinka Folarin. He's the Vice President of the Center or the Committee for the Defense of Human Rights, National Vice President. Let's move on to other stories now on Continental Prime. We'll stay with security issues where several civil society groups in Nigeria have called for the declaration of a state of emergency on insecurity in the country. Now, the groups, while speaking to newsmen in the nation's capital, Abuja, say that insecurity and crime have become a national concern, and they're urging the Nigerian government to investigate, arrest, and prosecute all those complicit in the escalating crisis. For more, Here's Abiodun Oyebanji.
The escalating rise in insecurity in Nigeria has become a source of worry to citizens. From banditry to terrorism and kidnapping, many Nigerians have not been spared from this onslaught. Despite promises made by government to tackle this menace, it seems not much has been achieved in this regard.
The government has continued to fail in its primary duty of ensuring the security and welfare of all citizens as mandated in Section 14, subsection 2B of the Constitution.
This alarming trend has continued in spite of the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's assurance at the beginning of his presidency in May 2023 to tackle insecurity. It has now been 8 months since President Tinubu took his oath of office.
Stakeholders while meeting in Abuja, Nigeria's capital, have called on government to declare a state of emergency on insecurity as the federal capital continues to grapple with insecurity challenges.
We need to secure this country. We're talking about foreign investment, people coming here. Even local businesses can't function. People, once it's dark, people, have to head home. Even if in daylight they are robbing people, kidnapping people, no longer from the streets, but from their homes.
For us, we are clear about this. We are clear that when you declare this state of emergency, it should include how you are going to tackle all of these things. There are equipment that are there, that have been bought actually, but have not been used. And they are not, nobody intended to use them. The state is in a state of abandonment. The Nigerian people have to wake up. It's not a civil society thing anymore. We have to wake up and hold these guys responsible and accountable.
They are also calling for thorough reforms by government, saying many agencies of government continue to frustrate efforts aimed at tackling insecurity challenges.
The government needs to have a holistic approach, but the president needs to, as a matter of urgency, to address the nation and say, this and this are the things we want to do, and in the next 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, we expect the situation to change, and then we hold them on to.
The conspiracy of the security agents and the financial institutions, we need to dismantle it. The money goes to the banks. The criminals go and collect it. And then you go there and say, can we find the person, the owner of this account? They will tell you it will take 30 days. You keep going there. So the collusion is clear. So it's a Nigerian crisis.
The groups are also calling on President Bola Tinubu to ensure that those sponsoring acts of insecurity are investigated, arrested, and prosecuted. In Abuja for News Central, I am Abiodun Oyebanji.
Welcome back to other stories. With the rising cost of education in Nigeria, experts fear that the number of out-of-school children may double. Hence, they call on the government by educationists to invest heavily, particularly the public sector. News Central's Olatunde tells us more in this report.
Basic education is a right of all Nigerian children and is compulsory for them regardless of tribe, religion and status. While the cost of basic education is largely borne by the government, some individuals and organizations are involved in the funding of the program. In 2003, the Universal Basic Education Program was launched to provide free and compulsory education from primary to junior secondary school. More than 15 years since the inception of UBE, it remains curious that many cases of out-of-school children are still being attributed to monetary costs. However, educationists believe education is expensive and funding public schools even up to the tertiary level remains paramount if education must remain affordable and accessible to all.
When you talk about public schools, I think the states should really put more money into education. But it's not just putting money into education, into the right things. Because many studies, there are studies that show that Nigeria has spent more on education than many countries in sub-Saharan Africa, with less to show for it. So it's the efficiency and effectiveness of the funds. So it's important that we fund it appropriately. We put enough money into education to ensure that every child has a chance.
Tertiary education has major intrinsic costs. It's one of the most expensive ventures. And because for a long time, various administrations, even when they knew that it was becoming unsustainable, they had sold a story to the public that it can be free.
While the focus is on ensuring that every child is in school, experts say it is imperative to provide quality and relevant education for all children, especially by providing a relevant curriculum for the country's educational system.
Teacher training curriculum is inadequate, because it's too theory-based. Like, I can give you many theories, Vygotsky's theory, Piaget's theory, things like that. But how to teach in the classroom? How to engage learners? How to deploy technology in the classroom? How to have, multiple assessment strategies and so on? How to integrate what we call the 21st century skills to what you are doing? They're just not part of the teacher training curriculum. So I think, again, we really need to have serious conversations about looking at our curriculum across board, even at tertiary level.
Educationists conclude that Nigeria's educational challenge is not just one of funding or inadequate investment, but rather changing approaches to articulate new outcomes in the country's education. In Lagos for News Central, Omolola Ololade.
The Orere Bridge of 500 meters cutting across 25 spans of 20 meters each with access roads of 4.3 kilometers and 1.36 kilometers arterial roads in Delta State, Niger Delta region of Nigeria will be completed in 9 months' time. Well, the State Commissioner for Works, Highways and Urban Roads, Ruben Izeze, disclosed this while speaking to journalists shortly after inspecting the ongoing construction works at the site. News Central's correspondent Austin Azu completes the story.
While reiterating the importance of the project to several communities across the Orere River, Izeze, former lawmaker representing Ughelli South State constituency, commended the state government for awarding the contracts. He said the ongoing project signifies Governor Sheriff Oborevori's opportunities for all Deltans as enshrined in his more agenda. He commended the contracting firm and indigenous company for the job done so far on the project and assured that the Governor Oborevori's administration will patronize contractors with proven competence and capacity to deliver on projects.
If you understand this terrain, the entire Ewu, it's about 30-something communities that make up the Ewu area of Ughelli South. It's an island. So you don't even need too much rains before the flooding starts. And to get the proper sloping, you need to actually start from the other end. As you, what it actually is a long distance, not a long one. It took a long distance before the river so that by the time the flooding starts, it will not disturb the usage of this bridge.
The bridge is a 500 meters bridge. Access road of 4.3 kilometers. Then going to Orere, you have 1.36 kilometers.
Managing director of the firm said the project was delayed by yearly flooding that makes the firm to lose 4 months of active work annually. He assured that in the next 9 months, the job will be completed and will be fully motorable, open to the remaining 15 communities up to Bomadi. In Asaba for News Central, I'm Austin Azu.
Niger's military junta has expelled 15 members of the European Union's capacity building mission UCAP. According to the country director or the country's interior minister, Brigadier General Mohamed Toumba, the individuals had returned to Niamey on various flights on the 24th of January without informing the government of Niger. Well, he confirmed that they were ejected from Niger days later on the 26th of January. Niger has been ruled by a junta since July last year, when officers seized power from democratically elected President Mohamed Bazoum. And soon after, the EU announced a measure of sanctions to impose, measures to impose sanctions on the junta leaders. Well, according to Niger, the UCAP mission, comprising 120 security officers helping to bolster Niger's forces, was terminated in December after more than a decade of working together. We'll stay in West Africa, where the African Union has declared its deep regret over this weekend's decision by the military regimes in Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger to pull out of the West African regional bloc, ECOWAS. The three nations who were founding members of ECOWAS when it was set up almost 50 years ago accused the union of posing a threat to their sovereignty. The AU Commission's chairperson, Musa Faki Mahamat, in a statement on Tuesday, called on regional leaders to intensify the dialogue between the ECOWAS leadership and the aforementioned countries. Nigeria has also rebuked Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger for leaving ECOWAS, saying they were letting their people down by quitting the regional bloc. Meanwhile, reactions have begun to trail the announced exit of Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger from the Economic Community of West African States. The three countries, which are currently under military rule, say they revoked their membership as the regional body had allegedly moved away from the ideals of its founding fathers and Pan-Africanism. News Central's Ni Omoni completes that story.
Hundreds of people take to the streets of Niamey to celebrate the announcement made by the military regimes in Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger on their immediate withdrawal from the West African bloc, ECOWAS.
Nous sommes libérés de cette CEDEAO-là. Au diable leurs sanctions. Et on considère que dorénavant, il y aura des accords bilatéraux avec les autres États. Donc c'est fini avec cette structure satanique qui veut étouffer le peuple nigérien ou bien le peuple du Sahel parce qu'ils ont décidé de quitter l'impérialisme français.
The military leaders accuse ECOWAS of colluding with major powers to destabilize their countries. They also blame ECOWAS for imposing sanctions that are undermining the lives of their populations.
Some things are happening behind the scenes. We know Russia is on a charm offensive in West Africa. Just a few days ago, Russia announced the donation of 25,000 tons of wheat to Burkina Faso, and I'm sure similar stuff might be going on with other countries. I mean, France is exited, Russia is penetrating the region. So we don't know whether Russia coming in might be of help or help these countries to resolve the economic and security challenges that they face. But I doubt, because many of these challenges are a lot deeper than just saying it is because of France.
The sanctions imposed by ECOWAS on Niger since the military takeover in July 2023 have greatly impacted traders and customers. Essential food items only arrive through military escorted convoys that take several weeks to cross the country.
Gaskiya kasuwanci wanga da ka gane shi malam, kamar kasuwanci shi kaya wanga bododin nan ne da suke da boda wanga in aka bude ta in kaya suka dan shigo kaya suna da rage mai kuma kwana bi sai su hau. Yanzu kaga example kamar wanga mai daga Algeria ake kasu, yanzu mai in ya dan shigo kwana bi sai ya sabka, in kuma kwana bi ba su nan ga shigowa sai su tsara.
In response, Nigeria has isolated itself by saying it remains open to engage with Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. For now, ECOWAS said it remains committed to finding a negotiated solution to the political impasse. In Lagos for News Central, Ni Omoni.
Welcome back. You're still watching NC Continental Primary Channel, focused to North Africa, where authorities in Libya on Tuesday began sending more than 320 irregular migrants to Nigeria. Libya has become a key departure point in North Africa on the northern Mediterranean coast for migrants, mainly from other parts of Africa, risking dangerous sea voyages in hopes of reaching Western Europe. According to the head of Libya's anti-immigration body tasked with deporting illegal foreigners, Mohamed Barreda, 163 Nigerians, including 107 men and 107 women and 51 men, as well as 5 children, have been sent back from the Mitiga airport today. He adds that 160 other Nigerians will leave the country from the Benina airport in Benghazi later today in a move coordinated with the International Organization for Migration.
وسيتم ترحيل عدد 163 مهاجر غير شرعي من جنسية نيجيريا عبر مطار معتيق الدولي، منهم عدد 107 نساء وعدد 5 أطفال و
In East Africa, a group of 13 Sudanese who fled the war in Khartoum have been hospitalized following a cholera outbreak in northern Uganda's Adjumani district. According to local health official Henry Lulu, 4 of them are confirmed to have cholera. Officials now plan to track down the estimated 82 people who came in contact with them for follow-up testing. Uganda's latest wave of deadly cholera outbreaks began last July, and Sudan declared numerous cholera outbreaks from last September onwards. In other news, close to 400 people have died in Ethiopia's Tigray and Amhara regions due to drought-induced starvation. The head of the country's state-appointed Federal Ombudsman Institute, Endale Haile, confirmed that the deaths occurred in the past 6 months. The remarks contradict earlier statements from federal authorities who say that there had not been confirmation that anyone had died of starvation in any part of the country. The institute said an assessment by its team of experts revealed that millions were impacted in the 2 regions and tens of thousands had already been displaced. It further added that thousands of children in the affected areas were not attending school. Uganda's National Unity Platform political party has filed a case with the High Court of Uganda in Kampala to compel security agencies to release 18 of its supporters who have been missing for nearly 2 years. The supporters reportedly disappeared during the heated 2021 election period when NUP leader Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu, popularly known as Bobi Wine, ran for president. The supporters' whereabouts are unknown, but their families and the NUP party leaders believe that they are unlawfully or were unlawfully arrested and are still being detained by the country's security forces. Well, last October, Uganda's official human rights body closed the investigations into the disappearances, saying it had been unable to locate the missing persons. The commission also said it had been unable to verify some of the reports of missing persons. In southern Africa, Zimbabwe opposition politician and former member of parliament Job Sikila is finally a free man after a record 595 days on pre-trial remand. A Harare magistrate sentenced Sikala and his co-accused MP Godfrey Sithole to a 2-year sentence, a wholly suspended term of 5 years for inciting public violence. Sikala was arrested in June 2022 and charged with encouraging violence following the discovery of the dismembered body of Citizens Coalition for Change activist More Blessing Ali. He was found in a well 3 weeks after she was found in a well 3 weeks after she went missing. Sikila, who was the family lawyer of the Alis, was accused of having used social media to encourage the violence, a charge that he denies.
Job Sikala has been given a 2-year prison term, wholly suspended for a period of 5 years, on condition that he does not commit a crime involving incitement to commit public violence. He is now a free man. This is the only case that has been keeping him in custody, so he is going to come out. We're got instruction to take the matter up to the High Court on appeal. What we want is an acquittal, not a conviction with a lighter sentence. No, we disagree with that.
Let's turn our attention away from the African continent now. President of the United States of America, Joe Biden, says he is not seeking to escalate tensions in the Middle East as he weighs up military response to Iran for a drone strike in Jordan which killed 3 United States troops. While speaking with newsmen on Tuesday at the White House, Biden said he doesn't need a wider war in the Middle East. Now, this comes after Sunday's suicide drone attack killed 3 American troops and injured at least 34 others at Tar 22, which is a remote military installation in Jordan near the Syrian and Iraqi borders. An umbrella group of Iranian-backed militias calling itself Islamic Resistance in Iraq has claimed responsibility for the attack.
I don't think we need a wider war in the Middle East. That's not what I'm looking for.
Dozens of protesters on Tuesday demonstrated outside the United Nations Agency for Palestinian Refugees, otherwise known as UNRWA, in Beirut, Lebanon, against several countries' decision to suspend funding for the body after Israel alleged that some UNRWA staff had participated in the October 7 attack by Hamas. Now, this comes after at least 12 key donor countries have said that they will halt funding to the United Nations Relief and Works Agency following accusations. Meanwhile, UNRWA has fired several of its employees and promised a thorough investigation into the claims.
نشارك اليوم كمؤسسات فلسطينية وقوى وفعاليات شعبية أمام مكتب الأونروا في لبنان لنؤكد على تمسكنا بهذه الوكالة الأممية والتي هي معنية بتقديم المساعدات والبرامج الإغاثية والتشغيلية وأن هذه الوكالة معنية باللاجئين حتى تطبيق حق العودة.
هذا القرار يؤثر على 6 ملايين لاجئ فلسطيني يعيشون في غزة والضفة والأردن وسوريا ولبنان، وينقل عبء الخدمات التي يحصل عليها هؤلاء اللاجئين من الأونروا ينقلها إلى الحكومات المستضيفة والمجتمعات المستضيفة، وهذا يؤدي إلى أزمات سياسية واقتصادية واجتماعية كبيرة.
يعني احنا قصدي يعني كمان دعم الأونروا عم تغطي 200,000 شخص، هذول رح يموتوا غير الموت اللي احنا عم نشوفوه تحت الخيام.
نؤكد أن لا سلام ولا استقرار في المنطقة.
Time to turn attention to the business desk for the latest and stories from the world of business.
Business news in association with Money Master PSB, the easy way to master your money.
In business, Nigeria's currency, the naira, has reached a new record low against the dollar after a revision in the exchange rate methodology, marking the second devaluation within 7 months. The local unit depreciated by 31% to 1,413 naira per dollar in the official foreign exchange window known as NAFEX fixing, according to data from FMDQ, which calculates exchange rates for the country. This brings the naira closer to its parallel market rate of around 1,450, following a devaluation of almost 30% in June when the Central Bank of Nigeria introduced currency reforms to attract inflows and improve liquidity. Nigeria, as Africa's largest oil producer, has been grappling with exchange rate volatility since the reforms, with the central bank attributing the volatility to inadequate dollar liquidity and pledging to increase supply to address the backlog of foreign exchange demand. And still in Nigeria, Dangote, the largest oil refinery in Africa, is planning to import crude from the U.S. in the coming months. The reason for purchasing from the U.S. is likely due to price considerations, as West Texas Intermediate Midland barrels are generally cheaper than Nigerian grades priced against Brent. Petrol production at the refinery is expected to commence by March. Trafigura Group has reportedly sold 2 million barrels of WTI Midland to Dangote for delivery in late February, marking the first time the refinery has purchased non-Nigerian crude oil. U.S. oil supply in recent years has significantly impacted the global market, including Nigeria's economy, which heavily relies on petroleum exports. The refinery can process other African crudes, as well as supply from the U.S. and Saudi Arabia. And finally, a Moroccan commercial court has ordered Maroc Telecom, the nation's leader, to pay 6.36 billion dirhams, approximately $636 million in compensation to its competitor, Emure, owned by Wana Corporate, following unfair competition practices. This verdict led to a 9.99% drop in Maroc Telecom's shares, as it is the second largest company on the Casablanca Stock Exchange by market capitalization. Emure, the country's third largest telecom operator, initiated the case in 2021, alleging that Maroc Telecom had abused its dominant market position. Maroc Telecom's chairman Abdeslam Ahizun and the company itself are yet to provide any immediate comments on the court's decision, but they have the right to appeal. The fine imposed on Maroc Telecom exceeds its annual 2022 profit of 5.82 billion dirhams. And that's a package on business news at this hour. Thank you for watching. I am Perpetua Fasami Peter. The news continues shortly. Bye for now.
And that's all at this hour. Before we go, let's take another look at some of the major stories tonight. Nigeria's insecurity challenges have continued as school children and teachers have been kidnapped in Ekiti State. In Niger, the military junta in that country has expelled 15 EU mission staff. We also brought you news that Ethiopia's federal ombudsman has said over 400 people have died from starvation in the country's Tigray and Amara regions. We'd like to hear from you. Please send us your eyewitness reports using the WhatsApp number and email address on your screen. Also endeavor to follow us on social media. We're at News Central TV on the platforms on your screen. Also, you can watch us live on these channels or platforms. I'm Kofi Bartels. Many thanks for your time. Good night.